Hi, my name is Stephen. I'm from an organization called PokePress. Khoi, Laura, good to see both of you at this one.
Nice to see you.
I want to find out, first of all, how you got into voice acting. Khoi, why don't you go first?
My story is going to be very similar to Laura's, which is completely by accident. A lot of us start out as fans of the media, and we go to cons and we indulge just like everybody else. For me, acting was always kind of a pipe dream, but I had a chance to go to college in LA, which is where all the magic happens. And eventually I realized, you know what? Maybe I could do this. I met the studio at Anime Expo way back in 2011, 2012. They were doing these open auditions and looking for new actors. And I was like, hi. And they were like, hi. And I was like, I want to do voice acting. And they were like, cool, do you have disposable income? And I was like, yeah, kind of. I could just not eat. And that's why I didn't do rather, for a couple of years as I took their classes and other classes and trained. And through that experience, I got to meet a lot of casting directors and other people in the industry. And eventually, I suckered my way into a couple of pretty cool roles. And the rest is kind of history.
All right, Laura, what's your experience? He said it was similar. How about that one?
Sort of. Yeah, well, it was sort of similar in the fact that it was by accident. I didn't necessarily start out thinking I'm going to be a voice actor. I went to school for musical theater, so I knew I wanted to perform and I wanted to be an actor. But I wasn't exactly sure about like what medium. When I finished school, I pursued on stage stuff, and I pursued on camera things and some behind the scenes things. I did costuming and stuff for a while, so I was just kind of picking and choosing and trying different things in like the entertainment industry in general. And through that, I made good friends and things along the way. One of which might be familiar to other people like that know voice actors. A good friend of mine who also ended up being like a roommate of mine for several years. His name is Kyle McCarley, and he got into voice acting before I did, and told me about it and said, I really like this, you should give it a shot. And I said, sure, that sounds great. And he kind of introduced me to the voice acting world, and after that, some friends of his who were also into the voice acting world and classes and things, he introduced me to the same studio, Bang Zoom, and they let me come in and observe a session, and there I got to meet a director named Tony Oliver, and he suggested that I give this a shot and try some of their classes, and I did. And through getting to know that studio and then other people who are other voice actors and getting to know them, that's when I got to start auditioning for things because they got to know me. It was sort of like a networking thing, which is very much just making friends. And so I just kind of found myself in the world and got to be present for some opportunities, and I was really grateful for that. And now here I sort of am.
All right, well, let's talk about some of your first roles. Laura, I'll let you go first on this one. What were some of your first roles professionally?
Oh, golly. Well, my first named character ever was from an anime called Little Witch Academia, and my character's name was Wangari, and she was in all of, like, the racing episodes. So whenever it was like a sort of magical girl show, so whenever, like, the girls were riding on their broomsticks during races and things, I got to be the announcer, and so I was just yelling a lot. Yeah, so that was one of my first ones, and then I moved on to some other things like Beyblade and The Promised Neverland, and eventually got to enter like the Pokemon world as well, and I was really grateful.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that in a bit. Khoi, what were some of your first roles?
Oof, let's see. First thing I ever auditioned for and got was this cute little Lego commercial that you've probably never seen. I think it's only on the internet. It was fun. It was like a half-hour gig. Super cool. But my first acting role, There's this lovely little anime called March Comes in Like a Lion. It's based on a manga of the same name. And I had the immense honor of playing the lead character, Rei Kiriyama, for my first anime role, which was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. And then I think Detective Pikachu happened pretty soon after. I'm sure we're gonna get some questions about that later.
Oh, I definitely do. Let's go there right now, Khoi.
Okay, let's go.
So, how did you get that particular role as Tim Goodman in the game?
By defeating every single other young male actor in Los Angeles in hand-to-hand combat. I wish. No, I wish I had a more exciting story for you, but the truth is, I received the audition in my inbox. I submitted a take, thinking, "Oh, it's Pokemon. They're not gonna want a little shrimp like me." But then they did, and that was pretty cool. I think I had to do one callback because they like to be thorough, which I appreciate. Then first day of the session, I show up. Usually it's just the engineer, the person who hits record, the actor, that would have been me, and then the director who tells you how to say the things. Except this time, it was me, the engineer, the director, and maybe about half of the Pokemon company present.
No pressure.
Nope. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh, snap. I better be on my best behavior or I'm going to lose my job.
But you didn't.
But I didn't. And they brought me back for the sequel. So glad to say, first session with half the Pokemon company present went off pretty smoothly. Yeah. I've gotten to return for some Pokemon stuff ever since.
Sounds really good there. Now, I assume in between the first game and the sequel that came out just last year, of course, there was that movie adaptation.
Yes,
what
there
was
was.
that like when you got? I assume you got to see it at some point. What did you think about it?
I liked it. I think it's one of the better video game to cinema adaptations. And I really appreciated how much love and care they put into the design of the Pokemon. But the textures were really, really, really amazing. I know that they apparently, the way they found their designers was they were just scrolling through Twitter, looking for fan artists who were just super seriously talented and had a love for the franchise and a love for their craft. And I'm always very excited when big movies look for artisans to put their little touch on the product, because that's art. You know, it was very artful. It was very beautifully executed, I thought.
All right. Well, Laura, you also have left your footprints in the Pokemon voice acting world. Yep. I think you've been in a few of the little online miniseries that they've done. Do you want to talk a little bit about those roles, how you got them, and what they were?
Well, I got them sort of like Khoi here. I auditioned for those. The people who were producing those shorts I had worked with before, and they sent me the auditions, and I was lucky enough to be cast. The first one that I did was Bee, and then thank you.
I love Bee.
In Twilight Wings, and the next was Zinnia in, I think that was Pokemon Evolutions. It's another one of those little shorts, and it was really exciting. The thing that kind of took my heart with both of those is that it was, while it still was very much Pokemon, there was such an interesting tone with each of those shorts, or with those series of shorts, that was a little bit different from all the other series that you've seen before.
It was grounded.
They were very
and
grounded,
intentional,
yeah,
and mature, and cool.
And kind of got really deep into the lore of things, and I was really excited to be a part of exploring that other side of Pokemon itself, and so yeah, I'm glad that those get to live on.
That's great. And the two of you are a couple. How did you end up meeting each other? I'll let whoever wants to start that one.
Oh golly.
We met at D&D.
We play Dungeons and Dragons, and we met in a Dungeons and Dragons group because we're nerds.
But it took a couple years to fall in love.
Yeah, we started out as very much as friends and spent time with each other over the years and got to know each other and support each other that way. And then quarantine happened.
Quarantine happened.
And everybody sort of was their own little island.
And then lockdown lifted and we were allowed to
socialize
with other people again. And we just sort of met up for ice cream.
Yeah.
Trauma bonded. And I was like, hey, you're hot, I'm hot. Why don't we just be hot together?
Oh, gosh. Listen, he's very funny and he's very charming. And then one day after we went out for the noodle soup, he took me home. And then he started talking to me in French. Do you know he speaks French?
No idea.
And it's just not fair. And, like, what was I supposed to do?
It was a gambit. It was a high risk, high reward thing.
Is this your first time going to a convention as guests together? Not specifically together, but as guests of the convention? Or how often does that happen?
We've been doing conventions.
A lot of conventions together, yeah.
Yeah, we've been very lucky to get booked together at conventions almost ever since lockdown lifted and we started dating. I think people found out when we were a couple, they were like, oh, if we bring them both out, we can save money on one of the hotel rooms. Because they are roommates.
There have been times when it was just her who was the guest or it was just me, and then when that happens, we're each other's cashiers.
We usually will come and support anyway because we're attached at the hip. To varying levels of success, especially towards the beginning, because I remember being your cashier sometimes and his fans are so dedicated and they'll come up and they'll be like, no, I want to talk to him. And I was like, I know, I want to help you with your prints first and then you can say hi.
That's me too. There have been moments where I'll beckon someone over when they're next in line. Like, oh no, I'm just here to see Laura. I'm like, I know, honey. I know. You got to talk to me first.
Yeah. So it's a little hard for us to be each other's cashiers at this point, but we like to support each other whenever we can.
That's great to hear. I want to give you an opportunity to talk about a few of your more recent roles. Khoi, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, for sure. I guess Netflix has been doing this really cool thing where they're taking old beloved titles that haven't had a chance to be dubbed, and they've just been dubbing them. One such title is Kuroko's Basketball that I got to work on. We finished that a couple of years ago. It's one of my favorite shows just because I got to spend so many hours on it. I wrote a lot of the scripts, and I directed a few seasons, and I got to play the titular character, Kuroko. So that show is very near and dear to my heart. It's such a fun little sports anime where teens have superpowers and they use them to play basketball, which is what I would do. More recently, there's this lovely little show called From Me to You, Kimi ni Todoke, that got a dub, and I had the chance to play Kazehaya, the main dude in it, which was also super fun because falling in love is super yummy and fun. So every chance to do it, even in a play pretend sense, is a delicious treasure.
And I was only a little jealous.
Well, Laura, why don't you talk about a few of your recent roles?
Oh, gosh. One of the recent ones, there is a show out right now on Netflix that's sort of a retelling of,
Astro Boy?
Of Astro Boy. One of the stories from Astro Boy. It's called Pluto. And I was very lucky to play Adam, the equivalent of Astro Boy. And that was really fun. Very intense. It's a really interesting and intense, suspenseful thriller anime. So don't go in expecting just a cute little guy saving the day. Although there is one, but it's a lot. And then another thing, I was lucky enough to get to play the player character, the main character of Fire Emblem Engage. Oh, stop. He's in it too.
I made our characters fall in love, and then I stopped playing because I did what I wanted to do.
Yeah, he was done. But it was a wonderful game to get to work on, it was one of the first Fire Emblems where the main player character actually
talks a lot.
Usually it's just a few reactions and things, but the game is basically fully voiced, and I got to be a big part of that sort of gambit. that was from Nintendo. They decided to do this when they really had never done it before, and we were all nervous, but it seemed to turn out really well. So we're very lucky about that.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's talk about your online presences for each of you. Khoi, do you have a website, socials? What you got there?
I'm on Twitter. More than I should be. My handle is Khoi Dao with 3 O's. I'm also on Instagram where I'm known as Khoi and Cats.
You can see pictures of our cats.
Yeah, I've successfully made cat ownership a part of my brand, which I'm very, very proud of. It's actually given us the opportunity to travel to Singapore to do the
cat convention.
The Asia Cat Expo.
Yes, we were
And
very lucky to do that.
It's not a pop culture event at all. It's literally just about cats and cat ownership, and the vendors are like whatever the equivalent of PetSmart is over in Singapore. And then just on the side, you have these cool Genshin voice actors. And,
because we have cats.
Yeah, we were literally there just because we own cats. And
we're the luckiest ducks alive.
And that's probably one of the coolest things about me.
And you can also find me on Twitter. My handle is Laura_Stahl, LAURA_STAHL. And I'm usually there trying to get him to tone it down. And then you can also, it's okay. And you can also find me on Instagram as well, and it's just Laura Stahl, all one word, LAURASTAHL. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and thanks to both of you for coming in and doing this for us.
Of course, our pleasure.
This was fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out.